Hey friends, and welcome to Sanctification Station. I'm your host, Steph Strenz, and around here, we're all about sanctified living from the inside out, growing in faith, stewarding our health, and becoming more like Jesus one faithful step at a time. So wherever you're listening from today, I'm so glad you're here. Now grab your Bible, your coffee, or your favorite wellness drink, and let's get rolling. Well, hello everybody. I'm Stephanie Strenz here, and then this is Jaycee. I'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Jaycee Manning and my podcast is Becoming in Purpose.
Yes. And then my podcast is Sanctification Station. So we're both collaborating with each other on both of these. You'll find this episode on both of our podcasts. But if you are listening to mine, please go over and follow her. Same with Jaycee.
Yeah.
If you're listening on hers, come over and follow mine. But hopefully this is one of many collaborations that we get to do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited about it. A little nervous. And I would like preface that we haven't actually had many conversations face to face. So we're just kind of jumping right in.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We're just going to wing it today and we'll see how it goes.
We'll get warmed up eventually. I think all my interviews or things that I've done with people start out like kind of a little bit awkward for me because I'm just like nervous and then warm up later. So,
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's fine. We'll have a fluid, natural conversation. Be very authentic for everybody. So
yeah, I think they like that anyway. So it works out.
Yeah, I would agree. So maybe we can get started with introducing ourselves and who we are.
Okay.
Jaycee, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm Jaycee. Obviously, as I said before, my podcast is Becoming in Purpose. I am a wife, a mom, a business owner, and I do the podcast, which I would like to spend more time doing more episodes and like working on that a lot. So I'm trying to like shift my focus from the business to the podcast. And I have 3 daughters, all girls. It's pretty exciting. Yeah, I think my life right now looks like it's busy and we're always running around. Our schedule is constantly full, but just trying to make time to like get in the Word and share that with people. And that's kind of the point of the podcast, is growing my relationship like in an out loud style, because and I think maybe we'll talk about it, but like I didn't believe before. So it was more like it was like from nothing to belief all in like an instant for me. So I've spent a lot of time like trying to grow that relationship and stuff. And so that's my focus right now. So, and that's who I am. So what about you?
So my name is Stephanie Strenz. My podcast is Sanctification Station. So my story's been kind of similar but different. I was always a little bit of a believer, just not very strong in my faith. And then was baptized 4 years ago, and God has been transforming our lives ever since then. So I am a wife and a mother of 2. I've got a daughter and a son, best of both worlds. Yeah. And worked in healthcare for 13 years, actually worked my way up to management and was making a really good salary. And then God called me to be home. So I left that job, left the career that I thought was going to be my dream job to be home with my children. So I work from home now. Was called to the podcast from the Lord just to help other women become bold in their faith and to build their courage, especially mothers who maybe aren't sure what their identity should be now that they are mothers, but they want to live that Christ-centered faith for their family and to be the example. So hoping I can encourage women that way. But yeah, I work from home, do the podcast, also do a side business. So just definitely very busy. We also homeschool as well. But yeah, this has been the busiest season so far, but also the most rewarding, which is what the Lord promised me. So it's been a ride for sure, but it's been a fun one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess I could add that too. I got baptized last summer. That was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I forgot to add that part in. When you said that, I was like, oh, I should have put that. It's a part of my intro.
Yeah. Well, I feel like everyone's stories are so different. Sometimes it's, your baptism is kind of like your deciding point, kind of where everything transforms. But then I've heard other stories of people who they've been transformed, just throughout their lives or through other moments. So it's always interesting to hear all those stories.
It was definitely like, for me at the time, was like a decision, like I'm committing, I believe, and I'm like going like all the way in with this basically because I almost backed out because I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do it in front of people. Like, because everyone gathers up at the creek and I was like, they're going to watch me get dunked right now. So, but I just did it. I was like, I have to. I feel called to do it. There was no stopping me. So,
yeah. So was that with your church? Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, there's one of the members of our church has some like property with like a really nice creek spot. And so that's
Mhm.
where they do all their baptisms.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Mine was, we are part of a home church in our town, and they hosted in their basement, and we went to their pool. So I was
Oh,
baptized
cool.
in their pool. And then my daughter was actually baptized this past October in that pool too. So same group of people, same spot, which is pretty special.
That is special. My daughter decided on the day that I got baptized that she also wanted to get baptized. So she jumped in and did it.
Nice.
Yeah. No preparation. She was like, I want to do it. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's go.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's cool.
That's a
So
awesome example.
where, yeah, thanks. So I can't remember what you said you guys live in like the Midwest.
Yeah. So we're in central Illinois.
Okay.
So my whole family's actually from Indiana. I lived there for 10 years, moved to the suburbs in Illinois, and then met my husband when I was in college. And he had grown up in this town. So we moved back, and I chose small town life. That's what I kind
Mhm.
of grew up knowing and what I love. So we've been here for 4 years now.
Okay.
So this is officially the longest place I've ever lived in. But yeah, we love it. This is where our friends and family are. And of course we still visit my family over in Indiana when we can. And but yeah, it's very interesting. And I know you're on the West Coast, right?
Yep. I'm right on the coast in Oregon, the northwestern coast of Oregon. So it's pretty nice. I've always lived here. I mean, I grew up like 30 minutes from here. And then 5 years ago, we moved to where we're at now. And it's a different school district, but still like, close to where I grew up. And it's funny, like when you move 30 minutes away, how like where you go to go grocery shopping and stuff changes too. So
Yeah.
like when we lived before, we would go like east towards like Portland to go grocery shopping and stuff. And
Hmm.
now we go like just right over to to the beach. It's just different.
Yeah.
So it's been nice. We like it out here. It's just really far. Like there's no, it's like the closest store is like 30 minutes away
Oh, okay. Yeah,
on
that
the highway. So we're like driving 35 miles away to go to the store. And so it can be rough, but it's nice. We like it. I mean, I've always grown up like this, but the older I get, the more like inconvenient it feels.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
how it is
So,
here. We're in a small town rural area, so it's about 30 minutes just to get to town to get
hmm
lots of groceries, and
yep.
you wanna go have a nice dinner or go to see a movie, something like that, it's usually about 30-minute drive.
Yeah. I just say consider it like a day trip. I mean, by the time you get there, everybody's hungry and then you got to,
Mhm.
get your stuff. And
Yep.
hours later, you're home.
Yeah. And then it's also made me appreciate the country driving home, where you have the nice,
hmm
beautiful drive where you don't have any for us, we can take a country road all the way from town
Yeah.
to our home. So there's no traffic that you have to worry about or anything. So I'm definitely spoiled in that way. Now when I go
Yeah.
up north to visit siblings or go over to Indiana and we hit the interstate, I'm like, why are all these cars
Yeah,
out
what's
here?
happening over here? I get so overwhelmed if I ever have to
Right.
go on to like the interstate or anything like that because we can do the same thing. We could drive to town and see no cars, but either direction, I would say it's more likely to go if we go the faster route. You can run into some traffic, but yeah, I just anytime I have to go like towards the city, I'm just not used to it. So I'm like, my husband has to drive, and it's a whole thing.
Yep.
So
Yeah. My
yeah,
husband, he travels for work, so he goes all over the country for his job. So he's used to driving on different interstates and stuff. And
yeah,
if we have to go a long distance, usually I'm like, you want to tag in for a little bit?
hmm yeah. What does he do for work?
He's a welder, so
Okay,
he'll weld on farm equipment, but then they also will weld on wind turbines, and that's where a lot of the travel comes
okay,
from. So
that's cool.
yeah, it's very interesting. He's been to a lot of really cool places. He's been over to the West Coast, I think once, maybe twice, all the way over to the East Coast, all the way down south. So it's lots of cool
That's cool.
places. I try to keep an eye out for any of the really cool places he visits to
To
help
go
us be
with.
able to travel and go with him. So,
That's funny. Yeah, my husband has a similar line of work. He's an iron worker, and he used to travel for work too. He all over the place. But since he decided to come back here and stay, there, Oregon's like a union state, so he joined the union, and now he
okay.
stays close to home. But he was traveling Texas and Wyoming and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, welding and doing iron. So that's similar.
Yeah. Yeah. He went, let's see, last time we traveled with him, it's been a few years. he went to Buffalo, New York for a week. So
Oh, wow.
we went there and got to visit, explore the area there for a while, and then one of our last days we got to go to Niagara Falls
Oh, that's
and see
awesome.
that. So it was a lot of fun. It was
That's cool.
actually during COVID, I believe, so we couldn't go over to
Oh,
the
to Canada.
yeah, to the Canada
Yeah,
side, but we were able to just explore our side of it and still see the city, parts of it and all that. So it was fun. Yeah.
that's awesome. I've never been to the East Coast, but I hope to make it there soon. Our plan next summer is our daughter's last summer before she graduates.
Oh, okay.
We were thinking about flying to the East Coast and then road tripping back, like, over a couple weeks. That
Yeah.
way we can, like, take her to see stuff because we haven't really gone very far. I think we've taken them to, like, Montana, and they've been to Vegas, and that's it, basically. And we only took them to Vegas because we wanted to see George Strait, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be fun.
yeah, worth it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Well, we can move on to sharing a little bit about our faith stories. So, how we both came to know Jesus, kind of what that journey's looked like to where
yeah.
we are today. So, I don't know, do you want to start real quick and then I'll jump in?
Sure. So for me, as I said before, like, I was a non-believer, as non-believing as you could probably get. Like, I wasn't doing witchcraft or anything, but I was just like, absolutely not. This is totally
Right.
made up. I knew nothing. I had no information to go off of. I was just so sure that I knew that it wasn't real. And I was kind of dead set in that way. And my oldest daughter has always believed, and she go to church with her dad when she went over there, and she would say stuff to me, and for whatever reason, it was just like off-putting, and I would just be like, no, I'm not, open to talking about it. But then my husband, like a few years ago, we had to get a Bible for homeschool because some of the curriculum like asked us to go look at verses and stuff, and I was
Oh,
like, okay,
yeah.
well, I'm going to try to follow along with this because they were showing interest as well, and I don't want to, like, make them believe the same things that I believe in, so I was like, "Okay, well, I'll just try to do this," and I got this, like, I had no idea what I was doing. I got this King James Bible, and I was, like, trying to read it, and I was like, "Yeah, we're not doing this." I'm like, "I'm sorry, but this makes no sense, like, what has even happening in here?" So
Yeah.
I just, like, ditched that. My husband picked it up, and then he was reading it, and he was like, "I'm gonna read this whole thing." So he's read through it, I think, at least 2 full times, and then it was, like, a couple years, and it bothered me, actually. I was like, "Why are you so invested in this book? Like, it doesn't even, like, nothing in there makes sense." And I was, like, kinda angry, really. And then one day, and I think I just shared this on my last episode, is we were at we just pulled into the Walmart because I think we needed one thing, and I was like, "We're gonna head home," but it was pouring down rain. And I don't know what the weather's like over there, but here it rains a lot of the year, and it's, like, always gray and for, like, at least 7 months. And so there was no way it was gonna be sunny. There was no way it was gonna stop raining, like, on a real, like, a realism level. Like, I was like, yeah, we're gonna be soaked." I didn't bring a coat. I didn't plan on getting out of the car. I think we had gone to, like, do something that didn't require, like, walking around. And I was like Peyton was, like, talking my oldest, she was talking about how she was like, "Why don't you believe in God, mom? Like, I don't understand. Like, can you at least try?" And was like, we were actually talking about it in that moment. And I was like, "Oh yeah, let's just pray really quick about, maybe he'll clear the rain and we can get in the store." And so I, like, jokingly made a prayer, and I was like, "Dear Lord, can you please like, open up the clouds a little bit so we can get in the store without getting soaked?" And I swear, I don't even know if people believe me, but I don't care. But the clouds, like a hole, just, like, opened up just enough, and the sun peeked through, and then I was like, "That is so crazy." I was like, "That's totally made up." I'm just in there, like, telling myself this isn't happening, and I, like, turn over and I look, and there is a double rainbow just, like, over the top of this parking lot, and I was like, "Okay." And I just felt something shift in me, like, almost instantly, and I was like, "This is so weird, like, I feel something I've never felt before."
Mhm.
And so I was like, "Well, let's go, like, we gotta get in there, like, hello, this worked." And then so I'm texting my husband or calling, and I can't remember if I called him or texted him, but I was telling him this whole thing, and I was like, "I think we need to go to church on Sunday." And now he was like, "What is happening? Like, this is insane. You've never even mentioned any interest in this whatsoever." And
Mhm.
I was like, "I know," but, like, and I told him the story, and he was like, "Okay." And I had, like, my whole Sunday was already booked. Like, I was supposed to watch my neighbor's kids because she was going out of town, and there's a bunch, like, she had she has 4 kids. Well, 5, but I had to watch 4 of them, and I was like, "I'm not bringing all 4 extra kids to my first time ever going to church, and where are we gonna go? I don't know what we're doing." And so I text my friend Julie, and I was like, "Hey, I just have, like, a sudden interest in maybe going to church," and she was like, "Yes, please come." And I was like, "Well, I can't this Sunday, but maybe next Sunday or the one after that, like, we have plans or whatever." And then my neighbor called and she was like, "Hey, our plans got canceled, so I don't need you to babysit anymore." I'm like, "Okay, this guy is just clearing the way. He is taking all the obstacles out of my path, and I
Mhm.
have to go to church. Like, I don't have a choice." I was so nervous about it, and I was afraid of getting judged because I I grew up thinking like, "Oh, they're judging you," and stuff like that. Like, I mean, have tattoos covered in both my arms, and I was like, I guess I'm just going." And I went there, and it was, so welcoming and so, like, amazing, and I was like, "I'm so glad I came here," and we still go to the same church. It was just like it was crazy. It was just like night and day, all within like a 30-minute span of time. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, that's how I came to know Jesus. He found me, he came and got me.
Yeah, and I don't know if you
So,
said how long ago was that happened? The moment in the
it's been about 2 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Like, I've been going to church ever since, and
Mhm.
when
Yep.
did you say you were baptized?
Last summer.
Last summer? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It was gonna be sooner, but I was unwilling to get into the creek until it was hot outside. I was like, I'll do it, but the water here is cold, the weather doesn't get that hot," and I was like, "It has to be a warm day. There's no way I'm gonna be freezing."
Yeah.
So I did put it off a little bit, but I did go ahead and do it, and I was
Mhm.
so glad I did.
Yeah, when my daughter got baptized in October, we were like,
Mhm.
"Okay, so Central Illinois, it's probably gonna be cold because it's
Mhm.
mid-October," but that day happened to be, like, one of the warmer days. The water was still very
Yeah,
cold,
chilly.
but at least the weather was nice enough that we made it through. My husband was actually in there. He's the one who baptized her, but I got in the pool too to help
Mhm.
read verses and be there, but yeah, and then my baptism was in June, so it was a little bit warmer that day. I don't remember,
Okay.
but
Wow,
yeah.
that's wild.
Uh,
So
so
no,
sorry,
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, go ahead. Can you tell us, like, or tell me how you came
Yeah.
to your faith? Or have you said you kind of always believed?
Yes, so I grew up in a house where we always believed, and if we went to church, it was the Catholic church, and it wasn't
Okay.
very often. I'd say maybe a little bit more often than, like, just going on holidays, but my parents always left it up to us on whether or not we wanted to go.
Mhm.
So, if we when it was the Catholic church, I remember in high school, I was really good friends with someone who was very involved in her Lutheran church. So, I would go with her to youth group, and I made some friends that way too, but it was very much like hit or miss. And then
Mhm.
going into college, really didn't go to church. I still, like, would acknowledge that there was a God, but I really didn't have him in any part of my life, really. Not intentionally, I don't think. It was just more that just wasn't my focus. And then around when COVID hit, so fast forward a few years, COVID hit, and my husband and I were having a lot of talks about, okay, we really feel like we need to grow in our faith, especially with everything
Mhm.
going on in the world. We just feel this pull. And there was another couple, really good friends of ours, who had been inviting us to church. They ended up starting their own home church because in Illinois, you weren't allowed to gather ever.
Oh, yeah.
So there
Same.
were, yeah, there were a few different home churches that were gathering. We went to theirs. Really, really enjoyed it, and we liked it because we were actually doing discussions about the Bible. One of our things was we would go to church, but we just didn't feel a big connection, like we
Mhm.
felt like it was more being talked at, which nothing against the person, who was preaching or any of that. We have a lot of respect for him, but it just wasn't what was speaking to us at the time.
Yeah.
So, joined a home church. We were actually just making discussions about the Bible, talking to other people, praying over everyone. That's really what transformed us. And then in that process, I was at what I thought was my dream job, but then just felt like this darkness kind of swallowing
Mhm.
me up to the point where, like, it felt like a weight on me. So I knew something had to change. I didn't know what it was. I just knew something had to be different because here I
Yeah.
was starting to believe. But as I was starting to believe, this weight kept crushing, like, even
Yeah.
further down on me,
Mhm.
almost like the enemy knew that I was about to choose Jesus and fully trust him. So that's when I realized I need to be baptized. It was actually a word that my friend used. He was describing an event that he was having, and he's like, I don't know why I need to use this word, but I feel like it's going to speak to someone here. And he used the word baptism, and that was like a light bulb for me, like, I need to get baptized. That's what I need. I need to
Yeah.
give all of my sin, all of my burdens to the Lord and declare Jesus as my savior. That's what's going to save me. So I ended up getting baptized. It was a very quick thing. I think it was like a Thursday night. Our friends were over talking to me about it, like, hey, if you want to do this, let's go ahead and do it because the enemy knows that you're wanting to make this decision
Mhm.
and he's going to fight every way you can. So we ended up messaging our whole home church group being like, hey, meet at this person's pool in 15 minutes. I'm getting baptized.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they all went over, got baptized. It was really, really cool. Started praying over
That's
me.
crazy.
Yeah. And then since then, that's when I realized I needed to come home. We've been talking about homeschooling and we've actually wrapped up our 3rd year of homeschooling already, but this past year was when I could finally do it full time.
Mhm.
Before my husband and I were both trying to homeschool in the middle of working full time for both of us.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was 4 years ago. So since then I've left my job. I work from home. We homeschool. We had our son. That was a whole other prayer answered journey. But yeah, we've been home. And since I started working from home, I started this podcast less than a year ago. Like I said, it was him calling me to be more bold and help other women become
Mhm.
more bold in their faith. So now my goal is just being obedient and showing my kids how you might have to do the scary thing, but it's totally worth it, especially when it's God's plan, not yours. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. But I'd say that's one of the hardest things for me is trusting the
Mhm.
plan, especially when it feels like it's not going the way you want it to.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
but I've been getting better about it.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it's hard too when you live in a society where they want you to do the exact opposite of what God is telling you to do. You're
Mhm.
like, "No, I know he's telling me to, but it doesn't make sense with what the world wants you to do. So
Right.
how do I still trust and still believe that you will provide and do it?"
Mhm.
So, definitely takes a leap of faith and knowing that you're not gonna know all the steps, but
Yeah.
he will be there for you, and he will happily show you the way too, but there is that level of trust that you have to establish.
Yeah. And especially, it's especially hard when he's having you walk through some really difficult
Mhm,
times and, excuse me, you're just like feeling like, oh my gosh, there's got to be something different. Like, this is not it.
mhm.
But I've crawled myself out and was like, oh, thank goodness I went through that. Even though during, I'm like, what is going
Right.
on? Dislike.
Right.
So,
Yep. Okay, friend, quick reminder. A clean home isn't about perfection. It's about stewardship. If our bodies are temples, then what we bring into our homes matters too. Cleaner products, cleaner habits, clearer minds. All right, Jesus, we hear you. If you want to swap out some of the toxic stuff for better options, I've linked my wellness store below. Let's have a conversation. Yeah.
yeah.
So moving on, looks like we kind of talked about this already, but kind of what made us start our podcast and
Hmm.
what if we know what our goal is, what is our goal with the podcast? So I'll let you go first again.
Okay. I had always wanted to start a podcast, but before I had any type of belief in it, I didn't know what about. I was
Mhm.
like, my friend and I, we were going to start one where we just like talked about whatever, like if we were like, it didn't even have a point. And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know." And so she was like, "It'd be so fun to start a podcast because like we're so funny together." And I was like, "We are pretty funny, but like, but don't we need like a subject? Like, what are we talking about? Something like I don't know what we would be doing. Like they would just be listening to us talk about like our stuff and like laughing. It would. I don't think it would make sense, you know." And so we talked about it, and we were like, maybe not right now until we know what we're doing." And then
Mhm.
my mom, she gave me this like old podcast microphone because I think in her mind she thought she was going to start a podcast at the time. And but then she was like, I'm not going to do anything with this. And she brought it over here and she was like, here, take this microphone. And I was like, what am I going to do with this thing? Then it was sitting here for like months. And I was like, well, maybe I should share my faith journey. I was like, it's just me, but like plenty of people do podcasts on their own. And so I
Mhm.
was like, well, maybe I'll think about doing that. And so I talked to my husband and I was like, well, I kind of want to do a podcast and like share my faith journey and like tell people like how I got here and what I've gone through. And like, it just, people can know that there is hope. And even if you didn't believe even as hard as I did, and now look at me, like, and I have like lots of sin and things in my past that probably don't line up in people's eyes of where I'm at now. But just sharing that, like, that doesn't matter. Like, your relationship is with God, not with other people. And
Mhm.
to just like try to live for his glory and to like even if I can share the word in some way or through my journey, I thought that was super important to me. So I just got on my voice notes one day and I was like, I'm gonna just record a podcast. So the first 5 episodes, I had no idea what I was doing, and I still don't feel like I do, but I completely would spend like hours and days like writing these scripts
Mhm.
so that I could just read it right off the paper. And like after episode 5, I was like, this sounds so fake. It sounds like I'm reading it because I am, and so I was like, "I have to stop doing that," and so I've been trying to just go more on an outline, like, I know what I wanna talk about, but I need to talk about it naturally, so just like
Mhm.
the thing I sent you today, I was like, "These are the subjects I'm thinking about, and maybe it'll help keep us on topic," but, like, for me, it's like, conversation starters, and
Right.
so anyways, that's how I started my podcast. Was I just one day was like, "I'm doing it," and so I did. That's
And
how I
how
do everything. I'm like, "I
Yeah.
wanna do something, so I'm just gonna start doing it."
Mhm. So now how many episodes are you in right now? I think
This
you're on
this will be
40.
my 49th episode.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And I know you talked about how you're recording what your goal is to record about twice a week.
My goal is to record twice a week. Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, last week I recorded once, but I just like nothing's scheduled for me. I feel like I'm a very like go with the flow.
Yeah.
So if I only do one, I'll just say that like, hey, I'm only gonna make it to do one this week. Or unfortunately, I was only able to get it around to the later one this
Mhm.
week, and so I think people seem to be fine as long as I get one out a week. It seems to be fine.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
my goal. I'm trying to work my way up to once a week, and
Hmm.
I'm a former perfectionist. It's probably
Hmm.
still a little bit of a perfectionist, but I always thought, okay, you do a podcast, and you have to make sure you have the perfect background, and
Hmm.
you've got to have, the hair and makeup just perfect and all that. And I'm learning that it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's why I didn't do video until the other day. I was
Yeah.
like, "Ah, I have to get myself together every day, like, no way." But
Mhm.
I wear hats all the time, so I'm like, "Okay, well, this works because I can wear hats."
Yeah.
And I don't have a background yet, but I probably would have, like, a more neutral. This is just my bedroom where I keep my desk, so
Well, so what's funny is my husband helped me come up with the background in our kitchen, but when I'm
mhm.
recording with someone, my signal isn't great. So I'm
Oh,
actually at
yes.
my dining room table. So I have 2.
2 backgrounds? Oh,
I've
yeah,
got
I
the
feel
ones
like you
that
were
I
somewhere
like, and
else in
then
your other one.
yes, and then this one's like the more functional. Yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
they
I know, I was thinking, like, I have a spot. I just got these, like, 2 chairs outside that look really cute, and I got, like, a little table, and I was like, "Well, I could just put the camera right here, and me and a guest could
Uh-huh.
sit and talk about it." Because these microphones are so good for anywhere, like, even if the room is empty or what, like, I have, like, those foam squares on the wall in
Mhm.
here because it was so echoey, but these ones, you can use anywhere, so it's like, we could do this outside, we could do whatever we want. And so, I think I'll be able to mix it up until I make a little space, but
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. That was one thing I've learned is me starting the podcast, it was another prayer. So when I came home, started working from home, I knew that God had something else for me, but I didn't know what it
Mhm,
was yet. So I kept praying about it like, okay, what do you have for me? I know you've got something else. I know that you want me to serve other women and to help minister. How do you want me to do that? Because right now I was just working from home and homeschooling. So I'm like, I'm not
mhm,
really,
yeah,
I talked to like the homeschool moms, but that was really a pretty small group. So he told me, he's like, not yet, but there's going to be a change and I want you to start a podcast. Okay. And then it was actually right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated that
mhm,
I got the message, hey, I want you to start a podcast and I need you to be bold and I'm calling you to step forward and to do this.
yeah, wow,
So it's like, okay. So I guess we're going to do a podcast. Podcasts have never been on my mind. I
mhm.
enjoyed listening to them. I think my husband was more into podcasts than I was. I was more like, if I'm going to listen to something, it's going to be music. But then I noticed I started picking up on the details of how they were running their podcasts. And I was like, why am I interested in this? This doesn't make
Mhm.
sense. And then when he told me that, I was like, okay, you were wanting me to. It's like he was helping me become more interested in it because this was going to be my next step. So
Yeah.
but yeah, started it. I focused way too much on trying to make it perfect, and
Mhm.
I just need to get to where I just sit down. once a week and just talk about whatever happens to come to my mind rather than trying to have a good topic and a focus because
Yeah.
that just takes too much time and then I don't end up recording anything. So,
Yeah, I was getting to that point too. I was just
mhm.
over planning it and overdoing it. And so I was like, you know what? I just need to take my own advice and go with the flow because that's what I normally do. Like you were talking about perfectionism, and I would say that in my physical life, like I like my stuff in a very specific spots and order and
Uh-huh.
cleanliness, but in my like schedule, we're just winging it all the time. That is, I was like, I just need to do that with this. But I mean, obviously not in an irresponsible way, but just to not like overthink it,
Yeah,
because I think he just wants you to get on there and share rather than,
right.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like he's been reminding me that I gave you this platform because I know that I can use you for my good and for my
mhm,
purposes. If I didn't want you to do this, I wouldn't have you do this. So
right.
you don't need to worry about the topics. Just listen to how I'm guiding you, listen to what I'm
Hmm.
telling you, and I will help
Yeah.
you form the words and help give you the right path. So again,
Yeah.
lots of trusting and
Hmm.
even if it doesn't always make sense, just knowing that he's right there and he knows the plans already, so
Yeah. When I felt like I was called to do this, I was like, why me? And first of all, and secondly, like I'm new here. Like, why would you want me to do this? But it makes sense now. Like the more that I go,
mhm.
the better it gets and the more I understand like why I felt like I was called to do the podcast because I now feel like I'm sharing my journey and I hope that even if I only encourage one person to like open their Bible or even like think about it, I feel like I've done what I was called to do. So
Yeah, and I feel
just
like
keep going.
I know. Sorry,
Yeah.
my dog is like another child that
Oh yeah. I have 2 dogs.
likes to have his attention every once in a while. But yeah, I feel like especially now, God is calling a lot of people to step forward, so
Hmm.
I feel like we're gonna be surrounded by a lot of people who are newer to their belief,
Yeah.
because
Oh
there's
yeah, I've
revival
noticed it
happening,
crazy
and
lately.
yeah, and I think which is awesome to see.
Hmm.
It's really cool to see all the boldness and the courage that's coming out because I feel like for years we've been told to if you're a Christian to just you're meant to be
Yeah.
quiet, you just sit in the background and don't say much, and
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely even for me at first, I was kinda like, "Well, what if people are offended?" Like, if I wear this, like, necklace or if
Mhm.
I say anything or bring it up at all. Now, I'm just like at first, I feel like I didn't know what I was gonna even say, but now I'm just like, "You know what? Whatever. People can nobody's ever said a word to me." I feel like like, 5 years ago, people would be like, "Oh, wow, look at that person, all righteous with their cross necklace," or,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
even me, I probably would have thought that.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and
it's
I
cool to see things like even you go to, like we've been on a Target like, not going to Target thing, but the other, couple weeks ago, I was like, "I need to go there because they have this, like, best ever cleaning spray." And so I was like, "I'm going there," and they actually had, like, shirts and stuff that had some stuff on them, and I was like, "Wow, that's surprising," and it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
growing, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I've
I feel like
noticed, because 'cause I'm like you, I try not to go to stores if I can avoid it, so if I can get
Mhm.
things online, and that's God led me to my side business, which helps me do that, and I really, really enjoy that piece. But I've noticed too, like, at the stores that we do go to, there's a lot more, Christian focused, just
Uh-huh.
apparel or jewelry,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yes.
that's popping up, which is really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
So
It is nice to see, it's encouraging.
mhm.
Just
Yeah.
kinda see things come back around.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay, so the next topic we have kind of leads, which we kind of talked about already, just leading into our purpose and
mhm.
calling. So I really liked your questions that you have. So, what does it mean to live with purpose? And have we
Yep.
always known what God is calling us to? And then learning to trust Him even when the path isn't clear. And I feel like we've talked about some of that already,
Mhm. Yeah.
but we can get into that in a little bit more detail and then
Yeah. You can
go on to the
go ahead. You're going first this time.
all right. Changed it up. Okay. So one of the questions was, have we always known what God was calling us to? And
Mhm.
mine is very much a no. I
Yeah.
still don't even know what he's calling me to yet. I feel like he's giving me bits and pieces and different steps, but his plan, I just feel like is so much greater than what I have in mind, but I can't comprehend that yet. So he's
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to give
Yes.
you one step
One
at a
small
time.
step.
Yes, because if I tell you the whole thing, you're either not gonna do it or you're gonna get so
Mhm.
overwhelmed because
Yep.
again, former perfectionist. If I know all the steps, I will spend all of my time overthinking and overanalyzing everything.
Mhm.
So I feel like he just gives me one piece at a time, and then
Yes.
once I've done that piece, he's like, "Okay, now here's your next part."
Yeah.
I know for a fact that some of my biggest purpose is helping to minister to other women,
Mhm.
whether it's like mentoring or just through leadership, but just helping them become more bold in their faith and to have that courage. And I feel like for me, I need to live that as an example. So the podcast is part of that because I'm forcing myself to step out into my
Yeah.
faith. And then
Mhm.
I was also a person, especially during COVID, where I didn't post on social media. During COVID, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. People don't need to know. It's none of their business what my life looks
Right.
like. And I feel like he's telling me to step out and to share more of my life and to be
Mhm.
more vulnerable in that way. So social media is growing a little bit more. And then the podcast, of course, too. So definitely asking me to step out of my comfort zone. Because if I had it my way, I would just be like in my own little bubble and just
Yeah.
stay there.
Sounds like he wants you to encourage others.
Yes. Yeah. So I know he wants me to encourage others. I feel like with this podcast, I'm going to be starting an email list soon so
Mhm.
that I can start like newsletters
Yeah.
to help encourage women. And if they want to sign up for it, they can do that. I feel like I should probably send it out maybe once a week.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like little tidbits to share.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, from there, I think just kind of growing a community too. So my podcast is Sanctification Station. The community, I feel like, should be called something like sanctified sisterhood, where it's just a bunch of women getting together. And if they have a question or an issue, we can talk through it together and encourage one another, but just so that they know they have someone to go to. Because I feel like in our world now, a lot of moms, especially ones who are strong in their faith, probably feel like they're alone or they're made to feel like
Yeah.
they're alone in it. So they don't even know to reach out or who to reach out to. And I'd like to be the person that does that through God, sharing his word and then helping them realize that they are not alone and they have that
Mhm.
community and support.
That's awesome. I love that. I would encourage you to do the newsletter as soon as
Mhm.
possible. I started one a couple weeks ago, and it's called the Sunday Sip, and I send it out every Sunday,
Uh-huh.
and it's kind of similar. Yeah, encouraging people, favorite verse, or maybe just like a little update,
Yeah.
letting people know, you're not alone in your journey. Like we have each other, we have God, we have, things that we can look to rely on for keeping our faith strong. So it's been cool. A lot of people signed up right away, which was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate newsletters, but here I am.
I know. And I saw that Riverside just had an update where you can make your own newsletter now.
Oh, that's
So I was
cool.
like, all right, Lord, I hear you. I know
Yeah,
what I'm supposed to be doing. I'll
here's your
get this
thing.
together.
Yeah, I don't know if that was within the last couple weeks or not, but I use Substack and it actually works pretty good. I like it.
Oh,
And
good. Okay.
it's free. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Everything's a subscription. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so what were we talking about? Purpose and calling.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll answer this question the same exact way. Have I always known that God was calling me to do this? Or have I known what he was calling me to do? Absolutely not. Same, still don't know. I think I'm just
Mhm.
trying to like take each thing that he gives me as and try to take each next step faithfully and
Mhm.
just kind of fulfill what he's leading me to do because sometimes I have a hard time like deciphering like is he telling me if I'm questioning it, then I feel like I know that maybe it's not him trying to lead me to the right path because I feel like I get easily deterred.
Mhm.
I'm just
Yeah.
still like have a lot of that worldly stuff in my head that I'm trying to like get away from or
Mhm.
like the evil one and stuff like that. And so I try to pay super close attention and spend a lot of time in the word.
Mhm.
But I did feel called to do the podcast and the newsletter and just kind of sharing my faith and encouraging others. And I feel like sometimes it feels like I'm specifically focused on women, but I think for me, it's men and women, whoever needs
Yeah.
encouragement. And I feel like I want my like, platform to be for whoever. And I feel like sometimes I lean more towards the women because I know for myself and what I want to share and what I want to encourage others to do. And I have a lot of women experience, I'm a
Mm.
mom, I'm a wife, I've got, you know, a lot of knowledge in that area, but I hope to be like open with all people so that
Yeah.
maybe anybody can get encouragement from my podcast and or my newsletter or whatever it is that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And so I just, like you said, trust God, and even when it's confusing or unclear, just keep on going. And it
Mhm.
seems like every time I just trust and take each next step, things work out the way that, like, that was him, that was his
Yeah.
plans for you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one thing I struggle with a lot, and I realized I get distracted very easily,
Hmm.
especially by the world, and then that'll come in the form of either anxiety over not sure what
Oh
I should
yeah.
be doing, or it could be fear, like fear of not doing it well or messing up somehow or comparing myself to others, and shows up in a lot of different ways. My biggest thing for me has been just feeling overwhelmed, and
Yeah.
that's where a lot of
Same.
distraction comes in, and so it's hard. You have to really, like, rein yourself in and, like you said, discern
Hmm.
what God is telling you versus everything else, because you can just be easily consumed by the rest of the world and the exact opposite of what God wants you to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's a struggle.
Mhm. Yeah. I think that kinda goes into I'm skipping one topic, which we can go back to, but I feel like that's leading us into what God has been teaching
Yeah.
us lately.
I mean, I think order wise, that makes the most sense. We're trying to be orderly.
Yeah. But
Um,
I yeah, I feel like for you and I both have our own struggles with distractions and wanting to
mhm.
make sure it's all perfect. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that God picks people, and which helps you being in the world. The time you read all these stories, God purposely picks people who were far from perfect, and He
Yeah.
still used them for purposes. He still blessed them. And even though we're all sinners, He still has purposes and callings for us that only we can accomplish too.
Yeah.
So your specific purpose is something that He has laid on your heart because only you can accomplish that goal. And He
Mhm.
does the same for me. So that's one of the things I feel like He's been teaching me is don't focus on everything else. Focus on me and what I have for
Mhm.
you, and everything will be okay.
Yeah. That's just like going backwards a little bit, talking about anxiety.
Mhm.
I get anxious a lot. I get overwhelmed a lot, but I have been really trying to remind myself like that's not from him. He didn't give
Mhm.
me anxiousness or,
Right.
anxiety or things to be worried about. He's saying to me, "Give it to me and I will help you."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, I'm just so anxious. I'm stressed. I don't know what's going on. Like I need to do all these things. Like I got to scatter around and like try to make
Mhm.
stuff up to do." And I'm like, "Wait, no, I don't need to do that."
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yep, you can trust in Him. I spend a lot of time in prayer. I try to
mhm.
pray very intentionally every morning, and then throughout the day, I'm constantly praying just that I can stay focused and that if I'm getting
Yes.
distracted, I can feel it. And so I'm like, okay, Lord, reveal to me what I'm getting distracted by
Mhm.
and help me stay focused on you. And I don't want these racing thoughts in my head anymore. Help me clear those out
Yeah.
to,
Please take it away.
yes, keep you at the center. But
Yeah, prayer is definitely one of the biggest things that I lean on every day because as soon as I feel like any part of being like off or anxious or overwhelmed, I'm like, oh, it's time to pray. Now's the time. Start
yep,
praying. And I do the same thing all day. I'm just like, I can tell as soon as I get distracted, I'm like, oh, I need to pray.
yep,
Or something. I need to open the book or stop what I'm doing for a second and just
yeah.
get refocused.
Yeah, and
And
I think
so,
it's really
yeah.
cool that, like, for us, we realize that now, and I wonder how many people get distracted, don't realize they're being distracted, and then before you know it, you're in that cloud of just overwhelm and full of anxiety.
Mhm.
You don't know how to get out. You just feel stuck and like you're suffocating. And then realizing, well, Jesus is still here with me in this. So
Mhm.
even though I feel like I'm trapped and I can't get out, He is still in here with me and He can help pull me out of there.
Right.
So realizing that and knowing, okay, He helped pull me out of it once, He can do it again. And then you start developing that habit and you start, I feel like that's how God helps refine your heart too. It
Mhm.
helps you realize every time, hey, I'm still here. I'm still here. I can still help you. And then before you know it, you've developed that heart habit of, okay, I know that I'm feeling this way. I need to start praying right now
Yeah.
and starting to recognize that. And then you're able to pull yourself out of whatever cloud you happen to get in. And
Yep,
then,
exactly.
yeah. And then for me, I've noticed I recognize it faster now and I still struggle with it, but I can pull myself out of it a little bit quicker than before.
Yeah.
Or like I
Same.
recognize it and I can get to the root cause of it before I really get too deep into it, and then I'm like, okay, where did I end up? Why am I here?
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to like, whoa, take a step back and reflect
Mhm.
for a second, like, whoa, what just happened and how have I arrived at this point? And so
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess for those who are listening who might be struggling with that, we've talked about how prayer helps us with that, but also getting in the word and
Mhm.
reading scripture and memorizing scripture is very helpful. But if you're someone who's brand new, just reading the word every day, you'll
Mhm.
start to lay those scriptures on your heart and you'll start realizing that you lean towards certain verses depending on what you're
Oh yeah.
going through. So that can definitely help. And I know for me, when I started reading the Bible, it was pulling me in a way that made me more interested. So the more I read, the more interested I got. So even though starting out might be overwhelming, just start somewhere because God will help lead you to wherever you need to go
Mhm.
next, whether it's in the word or whether it's prayer or just talking to other people, but he will help lead you on that path
Yeah,
too.
I agree. I would say, like, even if you're not sure, and at least for me, I don't know what, sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking for. And so I will just like get my Bible and I'll open it up randomly. And sometimes you just land on right whatever it is that
Yeah.
you're needing to see or read. And that happens to me so often that
Mhm.
I'm just like, I'm thankful and I'm grateful for it. But my mind is like, I'm hoping for it. I used to be like, whoa, this is insane. But now I'm like, this is great. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, not surprised, but not in a bad way, you know, like,
Mhm.
I'm happy and I believe in it, so, like, when I open the book and I land somewhere, sometimes maybe it's not exactly what I was looking for, but it's what I needed to read, and
Yes.
so
Yeah. I know.
he works in his mysterious ways.
He does. He actually said to me earlier this week, I was in my cloud of distraction and overwhelm
Mhm,
and anxiousness, and I hadn't recorded in a while, and I was getting down on myself about like, okay, why aren't you doing this? Just do it. You're
mhm,
taking too much time, you're overanalyzing, you're probably gonna mess it up. All those self-doubt thoughts came
yeah,
back in. And I realized I was feeling very overwhelmed, very anxious about everything, and I couldn't focus on anything. So, like, whether it was my work from home or just like summer break for my kids, I just couldn't stay
mhm,
focused on it. And I was reading a devotional, which I hadn't read in a few days. And I felt the Lord telling me, like, just read it, just read this devotional. And the devotional talked about fear. And it talked about how that fear can manifest itself in so many different ways. But one of the more common ones is just feeling overwhelmed and feeling anxious. That's how the enemy gets in. And I was like,
mhm,
oh, that's what's happening. Is he just found his little way in there and planted himself there for a while. And I had to just take a step back and start reflecting and realize that's what it was.
mhm,
And then was reading through scriptures of how to work through that myself. And it was really, really cool. Like you said, it's not a surprise because God always knows what we need, but
mhm,
just knowing like, okay, he was still right here with me and he was still present this whole time and he knew exactly what I needed and said, "Okay, go here. This is where
yeah,
this is where I need you."
yeah, it's cool how it always works out that way,
Mhm. Yeah.
but yeah, let's see, I'm looking at my list because 'cause
I
I'm
know.
feeling a little off track.
Well, and I feel like that also kind of leads us into the encouragement too for other people, like how to help
Oh, yeah.
encourage the moms. And I don't know if this will go completely off track, but I feel like I need to read some of that fear part that he helped me work through. One The biggest verse I've been meditating on for a while, Hebrews 4:12, and it's really just the beginning of it that says, "For the word of God is living and active." And I read that verse and I was like, "Okay, what does that mean?" Because I feel like that can
Mhm,
be very complex very easily. So how do I if the word of God is living and active, how do I demonstrate that to others? And how do I show that myself? And it's brought me to other verses, but if when I was reading this part about fear, it helped me focus even more on the importance of putting on the armor of God. And there are other verses that talk about that where he even gives like visuals. I don't have it on me right now, but visuals of like the breastplate that you wear and
mhm.
you carry a sword. And when Jesus comes back again, he's going to be come back as a warrior. So how do you put on that armor of God? For me, it's for myself and also for my kids
Yeah.
because we need to raise them to be able to fight for themselves as well and fight for their faith. I feel like a lot of our society is teaching our kids to grow up to be soft and too
Mhm. Oh,
timid
yeah.
and just kind of go with the flow. And we're teaching our kids the exact opposite.
Yeah. Well, especially with the, like, I'm not saying be mean to people, but, like, with the acceptance of things that are going on around you too,
Right.
and
Yeah.
like, affirming some things that probably aren't necessarily biblical,
Hmm.
and so
Right.
That's definitely a
Mm,
battle on its own.
yeah, and how do you teach you have to show that you can be bold in your faith and that you will stand up for it, but then you also have to make sure that your children understand how they can do that too, because they're gonna be the ones, eventually are gonna be adults and be making decisions for themselves. But one of the favorite verses I liked was Isaiah 41:10
Uh-huh.
says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And to me, that kind of reminded me of another way that you can put the armor of God on, another way that you can show that the word of God is living and active because he's never going to leave you. He's never going to forsake you. He will actually strengthen you and help you in ways that you don't know that you need yet. And so to me, that was very encouraging. If you're going to uphold me with your righteous right hand, I'm using my left hand, my righteous right um, he will strengthen you and help you in those ways too. And if he's willing to do that for you, then how can you doubt his plans for you?
Right.
Because he's spending so much time on you and he's pursuing us. He wants to have a relationship with us so much that he's chasing after us to get that relationship. So if we know someone that loves us unconditionally in that way, he's never going to let us down. He's never going to fail because he's always been there. He wants to help us win. And it's going to be for his glory and for his plans, but it also blesses us in so many ways too, for the rest of our lives. And it can bless our families and your spouse, children, grandchildren, all down the line.
Yeah. That just reminds me of, like, trusting the plan, 'cause for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord.
Mhm.
And so you have
Yeah.
to sometimes I'm like, "Okay, he knows what he's doing." We have to trust that.
Yep.
And, you said Isaiah 41:10, and that's funny because the first time I was like, I'm gonna start reading the Bible," I was for whatever reason, and I don't know what he was doing, but he called me to the first thing that I should read is Isaiah. So I text my friend and I was like, "Listen, we're gonna be doing some Bible study now." And she's like, "Okay, what do you wanna do? Because also wanna start reading the Bible." And I was like, "Well, I feel called to read Isaiah." And she's like, "Okay, cool." We had no idea what we were doing. And I was like, we get in and I'm just like, "What is happening?
That's a hard one to
This is
read.
not a good book to start with." But I was like, I have to finish it now. And so
Right.
I did, and I'm glad I did, but I was like, dang, I really started off in a difficult spot. Like I could have picked something more like nice or, maybe a gospel like Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. But no, let's just go to Isaiah right
Yep.
away. So that's what I did.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of good stuff in there. And so just like I'm glad I did because it was hard to read, but I think that's what I needed to do at the time. I pick my favorite verse or based off of what I'm, like, feeling or maybe something that I stumble upon. So, like,
Mhm.
last week for me, my encouragement was Psalm 18, and I read the whole thing on one of my other episodes because I was like, "Oh, I need to, I'm gonna type it in so I can kind of, like, give a highlight." I was like, "I need to read this out loud so that I can share with people, like, what it is, because you can kinda, like, tell how someone's struggling, like, based off at least for me, like, what Bible verse or something that's really sticking out to them.
Uh-huh.
So, like,
Uh-huh.
then the first couple verses is, "I love you, Lord, you are my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my savior.
Mhm.
My God is my rock, in whom I find protection. He's my shield, the power that saves me, and my place of safety. I called on the Lord who is worthy of praise, and he saved me from my enemies." And so that whole chapter in Psalm was just really sticking out to me. Like I highlighted the whole thing in my Bible. I've gone back and read it like 25 times and I was just like clinging on to that for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then and it was so helpful just to remind myself like, Lord, you are my strength.
Mhm.
Cause there's a lot of times where I feel weak or like I'm in the darkness and I don't know. And that's where like the lamp thing comes into it's like when you're holding a lamp, you can just see what's right in front of you. And so you just have to follow. He's leading you in that way. And so
Yeah.
that's been encouraging for me. And then I have 2, and they're both Psalms. So Psalm 22, the first mostly 3 verses of this was one that I was like, "Oh, this is one I wanna talk about today on the podcast,"
Mhm.
and I forgot my Bible outside, so I had to pull it up on the computer. Um, my God, why have you abandoned me?" Because 'Cause I've personally been feeling like a little bit lost. I was getting
Mhm.
that anxiety, or I'm feeling like I don't know what's going on or what I'm supposed to be doing, or like, can you tell me my next step? I feel like you're not
Right.
giving it to me. And so I found this one and I was like, okay, this is a really good reminder. My God, why have you abandoned me? Why are you so far away when I groan for help? Every day I call to you, my God, but you do not answer. Every night I lift my voice, but I find no relief. yet you are holy.
Mhm.
So you're stressed, you're worried, but it's just a reminder like, yeah, you are holy, you are
Mhm.
faithful to us and you know what's coming. And so
Yes.
I I read that and I was like, yeah, definitely. Like you're reading my mind. Then it was like, oh yeah, but yet you're holy.
Yeah.
So those ones for me are really encouraging, and I try to share as many encouraging Bible verses as I can on my
Mhm.
podcast because I just want people to even if it's a starting point, like, oh well, this helped her, maybe I'll go there and check it out and find something along the way.
Right.
And so that's been
Mhm.
a big part of like sharing as many verses as possible. I might do some people might consider sharing too many, but
Well, and I feel
there's
like
never
it's
too many.
right. There's never too many, and I feel like the verses in the Bible speak to people so differently, and even,
Mhm.
like, you and I can read the same Bible 5 years from now, and the verses that we read are gonna speak to us in a totally different way than what they're
Oh yeah.
saying now. So, a couple years ago, I was relying on Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans
Mhm.
I have for you, says the Lord, plans
Yeah.
for good, not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." And that was when I was struggling to find a new job and try to step away from the one that I had so that I could be home. And I
Mhm.
needed to rely on that verse a lot, and then after that came Matthew 7:7, which was, now I'm totally blanking on it, but first knock or first ask and you should receive, knock and the door will be
Uh-huh.
opened.
Yeah.
Just kind of that encouragement to ask the Lord for what you want, and you don't have to be I feel like when people pray, they struggle with what to pray about, or they wanna ask in the right way. And
Mhm.
for me, I kept mine more vague because I was worried I'd be asking for too much or
Mhm.
like I'd be asking for something that he really didn't have for me. But
Mhm.
you can be specific in your prayers. It's just you have to have an open heart and knowing that the way he answers it might not be the way you expect, but he will always answer
Exactly.
your prayers for you. So,
Yeah.
like I was
Another
saying
thing
to
to go with that really quick, sorry, is that I would say, like, for me, I was doing the same thing, like, you have to pray a certain way or whatever, but something to remember is, like, he knows your thoughts.
Yep.
And so no matter what you pray or how you pray it, like, he already knows what you're thinking, and he already knows what you're asking for.
Mhm.
And I think for me, it's just saying it out, like, asking, like, you may know you want it or whatever, but if you're not saying it to him or asking him for it, then, how do you know it's gonna come? Like, you have to put it out there, and
Right.
however that comes out, like, he doesn't care. He knows the plans.
Mhm.
He knows the thoughts.
Yeah. I found a lot of comfort in praying to him too because I feel like a lot of people can get caught up in, well, what if it's not the right one? What if he judges me for what I'm asking for? Or what if
Mhm.
he decides that I'm just not worth it? And if he already knows the thoughts that you have and he already knows your heart, he already knows what you want to ask. And he's
Yeah.
still there and he's still willing to listen and answer you. So just ask the question. And
Yeah.
that's given me a lot of comfort in knowing that I can go to him with anything that I have. So if you're struggling with even saying things out loud, or maybe you feel like you're struggling with the sin that you don't want to admit to anyone else, you can
Mhm.
still take all of that to the Lord and
Yeah.
have him help you in that. There are times where you don't have to declare or confess your sins to an entire group of people. Just bring it to the Lord and be like, "What do you want me to do with this? Because this is what I'm
Yeah.
struggling with." And he will always be there for you and always help you work through it.
Mhm. And with prayer too, I always thought like you had to pray out loud,
Mhm.
but I think it's just like being intentional with it. So like I pray in a million different ways. Like I
Oh, yeah.
sometimes I'll write it down, or sometimes I'll say it out loud, or sometimes I'll just be in my head. But in my mind, I'm praying like I'm dedicating this. Like what I'm saying directly to him. Like I'm not just scattered thoughts. I'm like, okay, I'm praying now. And I'll
Yeah.
just intensely pray in that way a lot of the time. But
Mhm.
I think that's a special reminder too, is like there's no right way to pray, just do it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done mine to myself, I've done it out loud, I've done journaling, I've done just, like I'll find myself just having a conversation with him and not even
Mhm.
realizing it, and I'm like, "Oh, well, this is
Yeah.
another form of prayer." It's just
Uh-huh.
God wants us to have a relationship so much that he doesn't care how you come to him, he's gonna meet you where you're at.
Yep.
He just wants you to be there and to choose him so that he can help you with whatever you're going through. Even if it's a good
Yeah.
season too. I feel like a lot of people are like, "Well, I'm not really going through a hard season right now, so do I really need to go to
Yes,
him?" Yeah,
you do.
he'll still be there for you even in the good
Why is
season.
your yeah, ask yourself, why is your season good?
Right.
Who made it good for you?
Yeah,
You can
and
at least thank him or tell him how grateful you
yep.
are.
Mhm.
And I know sometimes like things are going good and I'll be like just going about my business and I'm like, wait a second, I wasn't thankful for this yet. Like I need to
Uh-huh.
say stop what I'm doing and be grateful and still communicate and be, talking
Mhm.
and having my relationship with him because I want things to keep going this good
Mhm.
and I can't do that unless I keep, it's because of this that
Yeah.
I'm having a good time right now.
And
So,
it I think that helps keep you humble too, so you don't let that
uh-huh.
pride get in there. If you're choosing to praise him for everything, no matter how big or small, it doesn't matter. Just choose to praise him and to be grateful for it. That humbles you in a way too, because it also reminds me of, okay, he could take all this away. I don't have to have all of these possessions. I don't have to have this house. I don't have to have
Mhm.
the wonderful husband that I do or the wonderful kids that I do. He could take all that away from me in an instant.
Yep.
And it's things like that that I think are easy to take for granted that I try to remind myself, okay, I still need to praise him and be grateful because in the good seasons, I definitely want to praise him for the blessings he has given us. But then also in the hard seasons, I want to be reminded that he was still there no matter what,
Mhm.
and he can help you get through what you are going through at that time.
Yeah. And use that hard time for
Mhm.
the future time that ends up being,
Yes.
good and worth the struggle.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
part of the reason my podcast is called Sanctification Station is sanctification is the process of refinement. So
Mhm.
your entire life you're going to be being refined. Your heart's going to be transformed little by little by the Lord. And it's never going to end. There's never going to be a point in your earthly life where you're like, "Okay, I'm done."
Yeah, no.
You're not gonna be done until you are at the feet of Jesus and you see him and you're like, "Okay, now I am holy because I have my new body and I'm in heaven
Mhm.
with the Lord and praising him." So I feel like through that whole process, it's also a good reminder of there are always things you can improve on and there are always ways your heart can be transformed and they can be used in good ways. So
Mhm.
rather than letting that anxiety overwhelm you or letting that fear creep in, stay encouraged and know that even through that season, he is still refining you and he's still doing a good work in you. And you can still glorify his name and serve others and yeah,
Yes.
have that servant heart too. Always choices to make. There's always a choice.
Yeah, there's definitely that's what he gave us free will.
Mhm. Yep.
So, well, then I guess I can say why I named mine Becoming in Purpose because I feel like I have been even before, like looking for my purpose. Like, what am I supposed to do? What's going to be my career or my job or my business? And like, what am I meant for? Like, I feel like I have so many things that I'm interested in
Right.
and I want to do it all. But it gets messy when you start too many things at once, and so
Yes.
I'm like, okay, well, I need to know what my purpose is, and
Mhm.
up until I, became a believer, I was like, I don't know how to figure it out. I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like there's something like I was thinking like you would know what it is, and then you would work towards it. And I'm finding that it's kind of opposite. He gives you the next step, and like
Yep.
he's leading you there, but like maybe you don't necessarily know where you're going, but you trust. So the purpose part is for, discovering my purpose or maybe helping you discover your purpose.
Right.
And then becoming who God intended. And so it's for his glory. I'm becoming who he intended me to be, not
Mhm.
becoming who the world expects me to be, or, my idea of like success could
Mhm.
be anything like being rich or having a
Right.
fancy job or a big business or whatever.
Okay. We'll call it. Okay. Sorry. Our son fell asleep, so he's letting me know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, using all of that for God's glory and just becoming, like I said, who God intended.
Mhm. Yeah. No,
That's why I named mine that. And it felt like the right name for me. After lots of like name juggling and stuff, I was like, this feels good. This feels
yeah.
like the one.
No, I love that, especially because for your podcast, you wanna reach both men and women, and,
Hmm.
men can struggle with their purpose just as much as women can. So,
Yeah.
I like that you can help whoever feels like they just need to figure out what they're doing, and I think one important distinction that you've already made is becoming who God intended, not who you want to be, because,
Yeah.
like, for us, did we honestly think we would ever be on a podcast or showing our faces to everybody and putting ourselves
No.
out there in our face? I mean, that's not
Especially the video part. I was like, heck no, I'm not doing a video. But then the other day he was just like, you're doing the video.
Mhm.
Because I was like, I'm going to record my podcast. I need to put an episode out. And then it was just like, I don't even know what overcame me, but I just started setting this stuff up. And I was like, well, now's a good time. I got to meet
Yeah.
with Stephanie Friday. So I better get my videoing skills under control. And I was like, but I don't really want to be on video. Maybe I'll just record it. And it was like, nope, you're posting it. It was pretty clear to me on the other day that what I was going to be
Yep.
doing, and it wasn't up to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another example of how he pulls us out of our comfort zones. And,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
no, you can do this. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna make you do it, but you can do it. You're fully capable.
Yeah, I didn't even I just knew I had to. I don't know even know what happened, but I was like, "I have to do this right now. It's happening, and I'm posting it, and nobody's stopping me." So,
Mhm.
but I'm glad because I kinda, like, broke the ice for myself, and now I feel like I can do it. I mean, I gotta work on my looking skills, looking at the camera skills, but I'll get there, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's been definitely interesting, but
Yeah.
lots of things to be encouraged by for sure.
Okay, y'all already know around here we care about sanctification from the inside out. And honestly, the environment we live in matters too. Scripture tells us our bodies are temples, so what we breathe in, clean with, and surround ourselves with matters. If you've been wanting to create a cleaner, more peaceful home without all the junk, check out my wellness shop linked below. Yes, there are. So I skipped over our
Homeschool.
homeschool and family life because I feel like we were
Yeah.
getting led into, a little bit different direction. But I know that
Yeah.
you talked about how you've homeschooled. We've been homeschooling for the last 3 years, which has been something that we've been called to do. It's not for
Mhm.
everybody, obviously, and people are called
Right.
different things. But for us, I feel like we were definitely called to homeschool. And since we started that, we found a great co-op group,
Mhm.
a great group of moms who have become very good friends of mine. And then also found other friends for our daughter. Our son's 2.5. So he's kind of doing his own thing still, but he'll be growing up with a bunch of kids his age. Our group has grown so much, which has been awesome to see. But then finding other friends too, for her to help her.
Yeah.
But it definitely has its challenges.
Yeah. So is the co-op, like, through church or anything, or is it just a community?
Just a community. So there's
Okay.
where we're at, we're between like Bloomington and Champaign, Illinois, kind of in there. And so our co-op group is part of like a bigger one through
Mhm.
Bloomington. But then we have our own that's grown so much that we have our own building and our own classes
Okay.
that we do. So it started out with a lot more kids in the older group and they've all graduated since then. But we have a lot of kids our son's age, so like toddlers
Mhm.
who are going to be growing up and getting homeschooled too. So we're going to have a lot more youth coming up that we're going to be teaching.
That's
But we
cool.
do the way our co-op is set up is all the moms help teach. So like I help teach science.
Mm.
And then there's another group that will do like the toddler story time. And then we all pitch in with games and physical activity. So on top of your homeschool that you do at home, you're part of this co-op that you also help teach. And then our group does field trips and like park meetups, that kind of thing, so that all the kids can still get together, even during
That's
summer
cool.
break, winter break, all of that. But
That's awesome. We have, I guess I can quickly tell my homeschooling journey because it's kind of like back and forth. When COVID started, my kids were in kindergarten and 4th grade,
hmm
and then my youngest was a baby, and they had said they were gonna shut school down for an extra week after spring break or leading up to I can't remember if it was before or after, but I was like, "Okay, well, that's" for whatever reason at the time, and, like, again, I wasn't even a believer, but something said to me, "Take them out of school.
hmm
Don't mess with this." And I was like, "Okay, I'm doing that. I'm taking them out." So I did. I took them out of school. We homeschooled them for a few years, and we started on doing, like, a online charter
hmm
homeschool.
yeah,
And they didn't really like that, so we quit doing that, and then we got, some curriculum books and stuff like that, and then we moved here. Place that we live in is, like, a lot smaller of a school, and it's, you know, h the superintendent here was, telling us, like, I have these values that I wanna uphold, and, like, I don't want the kids to have to, like, wear masks and do all this stuff, and we were like, "Okay, we've been struggling with homeschool, so this seems like a good time for us to put our kids in this different school," and I was going to drive them here from where we lived before,
hmm
and it's like 40 minutes of driving one way, and I was like, "I'll drive them to school," and then suddenly a job came up at the school in the financial department, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'll apply for this job because, this is my background, like office management and stuff like that," and so we did that, and then also with this area, like, it's so far out that the school actually owns, like, 7 or 8 houses that people who work there can rent, and they had one available, and the rent was, like, super cheap, like half of our mortgage. And I was like, well, we've been wanting to sell our house. And we had already like got the ball rolling on that. We didn't know what we were going to do. We're like, we're selling this thing. We don't know where we're going, what we're doing. We're going to drive our kids to this school. Like it's all up in the air. And I got that job and we also got a house. So we moved out here and then put our kids in school for one school year. Horrible. They had brought masks back within a week of school starting. I mean, they had the place shut down for you.
Nope, nope. You're
Oh,
still
sorry.
going.
Mine just did like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown because someone called and now it's the recording says 5 seconds. So, anyways, I took them back out because everything was just like messy with the masks and stuff. And I also lost my job because a controversial topic, but they were insisting that you get the COVID vaccine and I was not
Oh,
doing that. So we had to move. And this is all in like a 6-month span of time. Like we sold our house kind of like I didn't sell yet because the process was taking a while. And then we had to move again. And we were like, oh, maybe we should just quit with the house sale and move back. And I was like, heck no, I'm never going back there. Like I grew up there. I spent my whole life there. I'm not going back. So if a place came up, we actually are renting still because we don't know if we want to live here forever. And we're renting a parsonage from a church. So
oh, okay.
yeah. And we kept homeschooling, for a few years. And then when my daughter was going into high school, she was like, I really want to go back to school. And again, it was a struggle. And I was like, okay, you can go back to school. And we put her in school. And then for like in the last couple years, 2 years of schooling, we had our other 2 kids in school for, like, a couple months out of each school year because I was also working full time, and I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing, like, I can't handle it," and we'd put them back in, and I was like, "Oh, it's not working," so it's been, like, a lot of back and forth, and
Mhm.
I feel bad, but like, trying to go where God calls me to, and they're not going back into school again, but yeah, so we do have a co-op as well, and it is like a Christian co-op, which is really nice, so they can get, like, more like-minded friends, and there's, like, people of, parents that I can, like, communicate with and, like, feel comfortable talking to and not have to
Yeah.
they have a lot of the same values and stuff, and so that's been really cool, and we're going to obviously be back in the co-op this year, so and like you were saying sorry, I get really, like, all over the place.
You're fine.
But, I have to teach a class this year. It's like this
Okay.
year they changed things and they're like, every parent has to teach a class. And I was like, oh gosh, what am I gonna teach? Like, Lord, you better help me out right now because I don't know what I'm gonna be showing these kids. But I picked 12 and up because I think that I work best with like middle schoolers and stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I get that and I can come up with the right things to teach them.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyways, homeschool is I encourage people if you can do it, you should I feel like it would be good for
Mhm.
your kids. You can spend more time with them and
Mhm.
the hardest part about school for me is just thinking about like a stranger basically is spending most of the day with your kids. They're teaching them stuff. You don't get to be there.
And you don't always
You're
know
just
what's being taught either.
yeah, and I feel like they're spending more time there than they are with you. And to me that is like something about that is off. And so
Yeah.
when they were in school for only a couple months this year, the whole time I was like, "What have I done and why did I do it?" And so, just trying to listen to God, he's saying to me,
Mhm.
like, "You need to handle it. It's not easy, but I will help you." And so,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
when we were considering it, one of the things we were talking to a couple who homeschooled all their kids, and they have
Mhm.
kids that are adults. One of them's married, 2 are in college, the other one's a teenager. So they've been doing it for like 20 years. And one of the things they told me that stuck with me was if you are equipped to parent your child, you are equipped to teach them.
Mhm.
The Lord wouldn't give you these children if he didn't think that you could raise them, in the
Yeah.
way that they should go, right? So that was one thing that stuck with me was, okay, well, if we're considering homeschool, I know, and I knew that God was leading us to that. So then it was, okay, we know that he's leading us to this. So that means that he's going to give us the resources and the tools that we need
Uh-huh.
to be able to do it and do it successfully. And it's not going to be easy, but we'll still help. And now I teach science, which science was my least favorite subject in school. So
Mhm.
the fact that I am teaching it, my daughter's giving me a look 'cause it's her favorite subject.
Oh, yeah.
But I've never been a science person, and so the fact that
Same.
I taught it last year with another mom, so she was very helpful, and then this year
Mhm.
we're focusing more on, like, the food science. So last year was more different science topics and doing experiments. This year, we're still gonna do experiments, but it's gonna be more food science related. So I feel like I'm learning as much as my kids are along the way,
Mhm.
which I really like. But like you said, I also like being able to spend time with them and build that relationship and being home with them
Yeah.
all the time and watching them learn has been such a blessing more than what I thought it would be.
Mhm.
I mean, I thought it would be cool, but like being able to see that those connections where they finally get it and you're like, "Yes, I helped you do that." It's
Yeah.
totally different feeling.
Yeah, and especially the fact that you know that if they have an interest, like, you can really lean in on that
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
help them, like, grow within it or discover if they even wanna do that or not, and so that was one of the major things for me too, is being able to help and guide them into, like, subjects that they're interested in rather
Mhm.
than just, like, doing this by the book thing, and because
Right.
I think, like, about myself, like I've said to you that I just like to wing it, like my schedule is like flowing with the wind, like we're doing whatever. And so I've been trying to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
And my middle daughter, she's polar opposite. Like if she doesn't know what's going on each minute of the day, you can tell she gets like really overwhelmed or,
Oh, that's really
like stressed about like the unknown or whatever. So I feel like there's got to be a balance where we can meet each other in the middle and she can learn to be more flexible and I can learn to be more scheduled. And I think that's one of the best parts too about being able to homeschool is just like kind of learning that
Yes.
behavior that she has and trying to help her, you know, like foster it, but not like get too rigid
Mhm.
with it. And so I feel like that's definitely a challenge, but one of those things that, God calls me to go and help her with that rather than send her away to go, be taught random mystery stuff by someone else. So,
Yeah, yeah, I really like that you can lean into different curriculums and focus on
mhm.
what helps your child rather than like a classroom setting where they're all taught to learn the same way. Well, if that doesn't work for them, they're going to struggle. And then
Right.
how do you know why sometimes you don't know why they're struggling. It could be that it's just a classroom setup and it's not that they're struggling themselves. It's just the way it's being taught doesn't work for them. So I really
Right.
like being able to change that. So with our daughter, the first year I stuck to like regular workbooks and it was a lot more structured and we struggled a lot because that's just not
Mhm.
how she operates. And so the
Yeah.
next couple of years we did a lot more like fun schooling where the workbooks we had mazes and they had visual things like
Mhm.
places to doodle, things to do art with. And
Yeah.
that kept her attention a lot better. So now I'm like, okay, so she's a lot more artistic and she's a lot more creative. So now I know
Mhm.
to focus on that as we move forward in homeschooling, which is really cool. But like you said, I also like that we can lean into her skill set. And if there's something that she's really interested in, we can spend more time on that. We're not stuck,
Mhm.
well, you have to do these subjects this year. You can explore and do different things. Like she
Yeah.
taught herself how to sew last year.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
And that's something that she's really enjoyed, and she does piano lessons, and, she really enjoys painting. So, being able to lean into that and be like, we can actually focus on this, and we can make this our own
Mhm.
classroom if we wanted to," is really cool.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if you're supposed to say names of things, but the curriculum that we've been using is Gather Around.
Oh,
And I
okay.
don't know if you've heard of that, but that's kinda like exactly what you're saying, and so we've been using that, and I let my kids pick the subjects they wanna learn about, so, like, this year we're doing, like, pets, like, human body,
Oh,
or
yeah.
inventions and ideas in
Mhm.
entrepreneurship and stuff. Those are things that they picked out, and so the whole, it's like 12 lessons usually, and it includes everything but math. And so you do like history and art and all the things like within that subject, and they get to learn about it and also like work it into their work, like their schoolwork and stuff like that. And they
Oh,
seem to
nice.
really like it, and it's been way better because last year we got master books to try it out.
Mhm.
Terrible idea. That caused so much trouble. That was like unnecessary stress. And then before that, we were doing the good and beautiful,
Uh-huh.
which I really liked how organized and structured it was, but it was too much, like,
Yeah.
rigid. And so this has been so nice because it's like you pick a thing you wanna learn about, and you can just learn about it while getting your, subjects done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they have so many different options, so if you have a kid who does like more structured, then you can
Mhm.
do those.
You can get it,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can get those curriculums, but if you have kids who just don't function that way, then you do, okay, let's be a little more flexible and you can still learn this
Mhm.
way and still teach these things, which is really cool.
Yeah. I feel like you were saying something about a couple that had raised their kids and done
Mhm.
homeschool for 20 years,
Yeah.
and, when you were saying that, I didn't wanna interrupt, but it did feel exactly the same as, like, what a similar situation for us was my friend Julie, who I had on one
Mhm.
of my episodes. She homeschooled her kids all the way through, and she just finished her last son just graduated this year. So, 20 plus years of homeschooling, and she has really encouraged me in, like, all the ways in homeschool and faith, and, kind of, she sets a really good example of how to, do it all together.
Yeah.
And she really encouraged us, and she kind they kinda her and her husband both said, like, a similar thing of what you were saying, and, they also said that, like, if you're capable of doing it, and, like, basically, why would you would you wanna send your kids away? Or if you can do it, do you wanna make it work and be with them and stuff like that? And that really stuck with me too. I was like, "You know what?
Mhm.
That's true." Like, I still struggle, obviously, like, I've put them back in a couple times and have just gotten, overwhelmed or anxious or whatever about feeling like I'm doing a bad job and stuff like that, but you just she's just reminding me, like, you just have to keep going, and you need to just do your best, because no matter what, like, if you're spending time with them, and like she said, her number one thing is, like, reading together. She said,
Yeah.
if you can't do anything, read together."
Mhm. That's what
And
we're
so
doing
that
too.
yeah, that's really encouraging, because, her kids are wonderful and smart, and I was like, "Okay, I can do this. I can really pull through and, like, homeschool these kids, and they're gonna be just fine, and
Yep.
hopefully better off than they were if they had been, fully public schooled
Mhm.
the whole entire time." So,
Yeah. I know some of the
fingers
questions.
crossed, hoping
Yeah,
for the best.
is your typical questions you would get, like, well, how are they gonna be socialized, and how
Mhm,
are you gonna make sure that they know how to function in society? And we remind I think my husband's had more of those conversations than I have, but
mhm,
he reminds them, like, there are studies that prove that homeschooled kids typically have better relationships with their parents,
mhm.
typically have better relationships with adults, they know how to converse with adults a little bit
Yeah,
better, and their social skills and relationship skills are actually better than most because I feel like when you are homeschooled, you're in that unique position where you do have to put yourself out there and you're making your own friends on your own. It's different than a school setting where, okay, you're with the same kids all day long, so you're going to form
mhm.
those friendships regardless. Here,
Yeah,
it's a
the
lot more
same age group
intentional.
too. They're all the same
Yeah.
age, and they're not able to go with different ages of people.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. I feel like that
thought that
helps.
was weird.
Yeah, helps them a lot too in that because you're forcing your kid to go out there and to make their own friends, and then also they're conversing with adults half the time too because your teacher's your other kid's mom or your friend's mom, who's helping with the
Yeah,
co-op. So you're forming those relationships as well, and I feel like being homeschooled, you have the flexibility of your schedule, which is really cool. So you can go out and you can do things through the day where other kids are in a classroom all day long. And
mhm,
are just like with my daughter, I feel like she struggled a lot with sitting in a chair for so long. I was like,
yeah,
"Okay, what am I doing here? Why am I having to sit here for so long? Why can't I get
mhm,
up and move?" And so a lot of our homeschool is we'll homeschool for a little bit and then we take a break. And then we homeschool for a
mhm,
little bit and then we take a break. But I really like having that freedom because I feel like it lets her brain
mhm.
kinda relax and she can take those breaks when she needs to and explore and find new interests, and, like, that's what made her start sewing by herself is because she was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I wanna try this out and see if I can do it." So
And I have heard a lot lately that, like, some of the most successful people were homeschooled, and
mm,
so another podcast I listened to, he said, what did he say? He was saying, or maybe it was even Charlie Kirk, he said, you know, "Your boss was probably homeschooled," like, just kinda, like, pointing out how beneficial it really is, like, even if
mhm,
you're unsure or don't know what you're doing, like, I don't think any parent who decided to homeschool was like, "I have to know exactly what I'm doing, like, we're just jumping in on this and we can do it," and then luckily for us today in 2026, there's lots of resources and things that we can
right,
look to and
mhm,
find, but a lot of people didn't have that back in the day, and they still got it done, so you
mhm,
don't have to have a teaching degree or anything, you
just
just do
gotta
it and they'll be good.
yep, yep, just have to have to do it and be willing to be flexible and know that you're going to have your hard days where
Mhm.
that's the other thing I like too is if you have a really hard day, you can just be like, you know what? We're just going to take a break. Today is not working. We're just going to chill for the day, maybe chill for a
Yeah.
couple days. I also like that if
Mhm.
kids are sick, it's okay. So we're just going to rest and we're going
And
to
you
pick this
don't have
back
to
up
tell
later.
anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no one you have to report to. It's just, hey, this day isn't working. We're going to go and do something else instead.
Yep. Exactly. I love that too because flexibility
Hmm.
means everything to me. So I do. I've always just like not like that. Like if my kid's sick, like I have to write a note or tell somebody about it. And it's just another one of the things that's just like
Yeah.
on my long list of reasons to homeschool. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And I like that you can, like for us, my husband travels for work. So one of the things when I came home, started working from home was what will be really cool is if we can travel with him some of the
Yeah.
time and they're still learning along that way too, because we're
Hmm.
visiting different parts of the country and they can still learn what that part of the country has to offer. So,
Yeah.
and you're not
There's
stuck
a lot.
to a school schedule either. It's just, hey, we're just going to pick up and we're going to go here.
Yeah, I love that because there's lots of places to be seen just in the
Mhm.
US alone, lots of history to learn.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so much to do, and when you like for I notice a lot too is like when the kids are in school, like you don't have the freedom to just pick up and go check something out,
Right.
and so I do love that about homeschooling too, because
Hmm.
and you get to be there with them while they're learning it, and so
Right.
that's just cool. It's just all a good experience.
Hmm.
Not easy, but good.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
Well, if you let me see. Say if you didn't really have anything else, we can kind of go into the wrap up part where I think we're at like an hour 30 right now.
yeah,
But unless you want to do some of the fun questions you had, let me see.
um, yeah, coffee or tea.
So we can go with some of the fun questions that we had for this podcast. Coffee or tea is one. Mine would be coffee. I only like tea if I'm sick, and that's
Okay.
usually like I want honey with a splash of tea.
Yeah, pretty much. Same. I drink coffee every day. I switched to only tea for a long time, but I naturally just came back to coffee. So I do like a cup of tea now and then, but I would definitely just I wish I could just be off caffeine altogether, to be honest. But it's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, usually I stick with coffee. Any caffeine I have is typically like a pre-workout.
Uh-huh.
So it's not I mean, it's almost every day, but not every day. But yeah, I definitely like the coffee a little better. I like that you can mix different things in there and you can
Mm-hmm.
play around with it and just the taste overall. I actually didn't if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have said a hard no to either coffee or
Hmm.
tea. I refuse to drink either one. And then last couple of years was more getting into the coffee
Hmm.
scene, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't like coffee at all for a long, long time either. I
Mhm.
thought it was so disgusting. Or I would just like load it up with tons of creamer and stuff. And
Yeah.
I still use creamer, but more of like a healthier version, and I don't put sugar or anything in it. Just a
Mhm.
splat, like a actually probably not. To me, it's a splash. My husband says it's an obnoxious amount of coconut milk, but I'll drink it that way. But yeah, there was a time where I was like, "Ugh, that's so gross," and I would only drink tea. But it's when you start going, like for me, it was like going to get a something at the coffee shop,
Mhm.
and I'd be like, "Oh, let me get a latte," and then I was like, "Oh, this is really good," and so then it
Yeah.
just kind of like creeped into home, and now I'm just full time coffee drinking. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
my coffee, I don't do creamer, but I'll mix protein, like cinnamon roll protein or vanilla protein
Mhm.
with my coffee, and that's what I do in place of the creamer. That way I can tell myself
That's
that
what
it's the
yeah,
healthier option, right?
that's what I should be doing. But oh, and I did sometimes I mix a scoop of mushroom coffee in with my
Oh, yeah.
regular coffee,
Mhm.
and that's okay. I've kind of started to phasing out of that a little bit
Yeah.
unintentionally. Like I ran out for a little bit, and now I have like 5 bags of this mushroom coffee. I'm like, maybe I need to bring it back. So yeah, that's my morning drink preference.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we kinda talked about our favorite way to spend time with God. For me, it's
Hmm.
prayer. Mine's always
Yeah.
been prayer. I think I just like that you can come to him how you are, and there's no judgment. He's just
Hmm.
there with you regardless, and you can tell him whatever you want because he already knows it. So it's
Yep.
I feel like that can be scary for some people or it can be a comfort. And for me, it's definitely a comfort because it's like,
Yes.
okay, I can go to you with this, and I know that whatever I tell you one isn't gonna be spread to the whole world,
Yeah.
but it's just a conversation between you and I. Like,
Yeah.
heavenly father to earthly daughter.
Mhm. Yeah, prayer for sure, and, worship music. I love worship
Oh,
music.
yes.
I do not know how that happened to me, but I didn't even know a single worship song
Yeah.
ever, really, except for sorry, I got like a bubble. That our God is an awesome God.
Uh-huh.
It just over and over again, and for whatever reason, like, I think the words are true, but the song just drives me absolutely insane. And so I was like, how are you gonna find good worship music?" And now I feel like I don't listen to anything else, and
Mhm.
so it's weird to think about, like, what I was listening to before, and now when I put it on, I'm like, "Oh, this isn't really what I wanna listen to," and so I
Yeah.
switch over, and I do, like, I'll jam worship music
Oh,
any
yeah.
like, in the car,
Mhm.
where like, if I'm cleaning, like, that's what I'm if I'm not listening to a podcast, I'm listening to worship music, and I feel like that's one
Yeah.
of my favorite ways to spend time.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
that's a good
definitely
one. I love worship music. That's all we listen to now. That's all my kids
Mhm.
listen to. But like you said, I try to get like I used to listen to more of the secular music and I listen
Yeah.
to it now and I'm like, that's just not
Mhm.
it's just not for me. And actually my husband listens he started listening to worship music a little more recently. And then we just had an event like a for 4th of July and they were playing some like, more secular music, not worship, right? And my husband and I are looking at each other like, "This just isn't our type of music
Mhm.
anymore. It's not what we like." So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely taste of music has changed so different.
Mhm.
It's actually kind of like I think about it, I'm like, "Who am I?"
Right.
But it's all for good, so that's been
Yeah.
yeah, it's been good, and it's fun to find new songs because
Mhm.
I can personally get locked in on, like, 12 songs and then not listen to anything different for months, so
Mhm.
I have to, like, purposely go out and look for these songs because I don't really know any,
Yeah.
just so I'm searching and I'm finding stuff that I like and just creating playlists and stuff, and it's been fun to check out new music and get into, like, more of a different style.
Yeah. And I feel
Yeah.
like since we're so much newer to worship music, like, I'm finding things that are old songs. I don't realize they're
Uh-huh.
old songs because 'cause they're new to me, but I'll be like, "Oh, well, this was actually, like, 10, 15 years ago, but this is my jam
You're like, "I'm into
now.
it." Yeah.
This is what I listen to now, so that's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
be playing." But
Yeah.
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 Let's see.
Do you have a favorite book of the Bible?
I don't know, I feel like my favorite book changes.
Mhm.
So, for a while, I don't even trying to think. I've always enjoyed reading stories about women in the Bible,
Mhm.
especially Ruth. I've loved the
Yeah.
story of Ruth. So, I'd say that's probably been one of my more favorite books. Romans, I've always loved Romans. I think because
Mhm.
the way it's written, it can be hard to understand. So, it's a challenge for me to like
Yeah.
read more into it and to find the meaning behind it. So, Romans has them really good. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like my favorite book just changes with my season of what
Yeah.
I'm going through. Like right now, I'm feeling a lot more led to read more Proverbs,
Yeah.
which I've always really enjoyed. And again, it kind of challenges you because it's written a little bit more poetically than,
Mhm.
other books of the Bible. But say right now, that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. Actually, one of the next episodes I'll do, I'm going to read from Proverbs because that's where I feel like I was being led to start. So
Yeah.
yeah. What about you?
I am currently in Psalms and I'm not in it, but like that's what I'm being led to a lot lately and I
Hmm.
really enjoy it. And it was my grandpa's favorite book and I see why now because at first I was like, well, even when he passed away, I was still really just kind of like peeking my eye into, looking into some of this stuff
Hmm.
and I was like he would just say, Psalms my favorite book and I've been in reading it and, like, being called I open the Bible to my random verse, and it's been in there a lot lately, and
Yeah.
I found a lot of encouragement in there.
Mhm.
So right now, that's where I'm at for a favorite.
Yeah, I love Psalms, especially for those who like, if you're not sure what to pray about or what to start with,
Mhm.
Psalms is great because it's set up to help you with for me, my opinion,
Yeah.
the way that it's set up to help you with prayer in so
Mhm.
many different ways depending on how you're feeling at the time, so I Psalms is a really good one.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm also doing this 90-day Bible reading challenge right now, and, I think I'm on Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke. I don't know, maybe chapter 16 or something. So I've read all the way up until then from the very beginning of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really good. Finally in the New Testament, which has been if you've read a lot of Old Testament, it can be kind of hard to get
Yes,
through, but
it can.
I still like, even as far as I've gotten, I still really like Psalms, and Proverbs is really good too. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
those are encouraging, especially as like a newer believer. I feel like those are just easy to read, like easy to go back to. And
Mm-hmm.
there's always something in there. And just like I tell everybody, like if you have any problem, or even if it's anything good or bad going on in your life, you can find in scripture something to
Yeah.
encourage you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm good on the questions, unless any of those other ones jump out to you.
No, I don't think so. So we can do our wrap up where people
Okay.
can find us, and of course we're
Yeah.
both going to share this episode on our podcast. So mine will be Sanctification Station, yours is Becoming in Purpose.
Yep.
So where can they find you?
So I am on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio, I think. And then also now YouTube. So I'll be able to post this. You're going to send it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then typically I would say, like, if you want to just send me your link, I can send you mine. That way, if people can maybe look for it in the description or
Yeah.
the episode,
Mm-hmm.
because I also have my newsletter. So there's a couple things, if people are interested, they could just go to my link tree and then click on the whatever it is they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
If they want a Spotify link or Apple or whatever, it's just easier, I think, for them to just go put
Yeah.
that link instead of posting, 20 links.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can find your link tree. Is it just through your Facebook?
Yeah, and I'll
Or
send it to you.
okay.
And it's in my like my show description. It's in my
Okay. Perfect.
Instagram, all the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So for me, I also have a link tree. I can send the link for your podcast as well.
okay.
But then you can find my podcast, Sanctification Station, on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And then you can also find me on social media. You can look up Stephanie Strens on
Hmm.
Facebook or Instagram, on both
Okay.
of those. And yeah, we're both pretty easy to find, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I would say all those things too. I didn't say Instagram, but I haven't been pursuing Instagram as much
Yeah.
as I probably should. But all of my links are in my little link tree
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I know for me, I try to encourage anyone who might be struggling, or maybe you're feeling alone, to reach out and just,
Mhm.
we're happy to help talk or just listen, whatever you need.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, you have your newsletter, so you can sign up for her newsletter. I'll be coming up with one at some point.
Hmm. I do want to add for the newsletter, like it's once a week on Sunday, and that's it. Like I don't send out advertisements or any other extra stuff and take
Yeah.
advantage of having people's emails. So it's Sunday. The time is undetermined, but it's on Sunday.
Always send it on Sunday.
Yeah.
Good.
So
All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, thank you everyone for listening in. Like I said, if you're listening on
yep.
my podcast, be sure to check out Becoming in Purpose.
Yeah.
And if you're on Jaycee's podcast, come
Yeah.
check it
Check
out.
out the Sanctification Station, and we'll put the links, like we said, so you guys can go to those and follow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for being here, and thanks for having me and getting together to talk. I'm glad we talked so long. At the first, I was like, it's going to be quick because we don't know what to
What are we
say.
going to do? Right. This is going to be a quick podcast. We're not going to know what to talk about. But yeah, no,
Yeah. No.
this was good. Hopefully the first of many collaborations we can do together.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's been really great talking to you and getting to know you.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
everyone, we hope you all have a blessed day, and
Yep.
we'll see you again on whatever platform you listen to us on.
All right. See ya.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Sanctification Station. If this episode encouraged you, be sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend, because those small actions make a huge difference in helping more women discover the show. For wellness resources and ways to connect, check the links in the description notes. And remember, we're pursuing sanctified living from the inside out, one faithful step at a time. Until next time, I'll see you at the next stop on Sanctification Station.